evening, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to a cool evening. First, first day in May. May the 1st. May Day. Also, welcome to Sue here for the first time. Welcome. Scott, was there anyone else behind you? No? Okay. So let's settle into our meditation. Establishing a comfortable sitting position. Sitting for the purpose of enabling mindful awareness, a conscious knowing, a mindful presence. Meditation. Using this initial time to set up the mind and body, aligning mind and body in the present moment. Meditation is practicing being present with a calm, attentive, receptive knowing, which means moving the mind away from the ways of the world, issues, worries, concerns, all those things that relate to self. Special time to give the brain mind a break from the activity of selfing, thinking, and coming back to being. Being and knowing rather than the constant doing and thinking. Coming back to balance, coming back to center, coming back to stillness. Stillness of body, stillness of mind. Also the body being silent, the mind becoming silent, and also the mind becoming spacious, enabling some inner calm space, enabling that spiritual domain of our being, beyond concept, beyond conditioning, allowing that unconditioned nature of our being to become more apparent and present. And we can use the naturally occurring sensation of our breath as our reference point for the here, now, knowing for the present moment. But before focusing on the breath, just breathing out any stress, tension from our body, relaxing our awareness down into our body, mindfulness of the body, sensing, feeling, knowing our body sitting here. Awareness grounded in this place, in our body. And noticing a few contact sensations of our body, reference points for mindfulness. Maybe feeling our feet connecting with the floor. Contact sensation, feet against the floor. Feeling our body connecting with the chair, the cushion, or the meditation stool, noticing that. And bringing awareness up to our hands and fingers resting in our lap, making sure they feel comfortable, adjusting them if we need to. Feeling the contact sensations of hands and fingers, maybe one hand against the other, or against the fabric of our clothes, just noticing, sensing, feeling. And then bringing awareness up further to our face. Noticing our face, maybe even feeling cool air connecting with our face. Sensations on our face and maybe even subtle tingling within our face. Just noticing. And also noticing light coming in through the closed eyelids, subtle light, some degree of lightness, brightness, maybe color, patterning, or even just a blankness. Noticing that lightness, brightness, blankness, even looking into that through the closed eyelids. A forward focused gaze into the space in front through the closed eyelids. There might be a few background sounds, but we don't need to be distracted or disturbed by those. And particularly also with the internal mental sound or sight of thoughts. No need to engage or react to those thoughts if they do occur, but rather focusing our mind's attention more exclusively onto the sensation of our breath, our reference point for the present moment. And feeling the breath at the nose nostril area. So finding that place of main contact sensation, directing attention to that point, holding or sustaining attention there to feel the natural inflow, outflow of each breath, letting our body breathe itself naturally. Feeling each breath while also maybe looking into that lightness, brightness through the closed eyelids. And if it's helpful, using a mental word or two in the mind, a mantra, helping to move the mind away from being distracted by other thinking. Just using the mantra, one or two words, whatever words feel comfortable. For example, calm on the in-breath, ease on the out-breath. Exercising attention, developing focus, leading to mental composure, collectedness, even concentration, and inner calm ease. Please help yourself to some tea and biscuits. And also, from the retreat, the Easter retreat, there's some trays that were left from people that brought food. So if you notice your tray at the back, and also a green tea towel as well. And also, on the retreat, we gave out some books, some wonderful diaries for the year with lots of interesting things in them. The lunar calendar and inspirations and questions to ask yourself through the year. It's a bit of a workbook. So there's about 6 up there left over. So if you weren't on the retreat and or you were on the retreat and didn't get a book, then please help yourself because the days are passing. The year's moving on. So please, some tea and coffee, biscuits.
Too many, though.
I
Do
didn't.
you have too many, though?
Oh, there's 6 up there.
It's only 6 left.
You have 6 left.
Could get them out at work.
Oh, they'll go. Before the Easter retreat and also our session last Thursday, we were reflecting upon the topic, the all-important topic of relationships, which I said in many ways are life. Life is the experience of relationship. What is life without relationship? And obviously there's various types of relationship. There's even various types of relationship within the types of relationship. But we looked at the first relationship was the relationship that conscious awareness has to the phenomenal world of experience through the senses. So the relationship to seeing, hearing, smelling, tasting, touching, feeling, and also thinking. The 6 senses in Buddhism. 5 physical senses and the mental sense of thought. So these are the basic ways in which we create our experience of life. And obviously it's important to have as much as possible, a clear, correct, direct, objective perspective on that sensory experience so that we don't get caught into misperception and the misunderstanding, wrong view. So certainly mindfulness helps with that sort of clear, correct, objective perspective. The next form of relationship we looked into was the interpersonal. So relating to others, one or a number of others, very, very important to connect to others and to have healthy, good quality relationships with others, whether that's an intimate relationship with another person, whether it's a familial relationship, collegial relationship, social relationship, the importance of connecting to others as we are fundamentally social creatures. We need others in our life. We grow through connecting and relating to others. We learn a lot from others. Certainly, the Buddha pointed out the importance of connecting to other people in a mindful, conscious way. And certainly for Buddhist monastics, as in most monastic traditions, advocate the importance of connecting to others, community, whilst there's times to be alone on retreat, but the importance of community. And then we looked into the important relationship of intrapersonal, the relationship that we have with ourself, which in many ways is a foundation for the interpersonal, how we relate to ourselves, feel about ourselves, treat ourselves, care for ourselves, regard ourselves. Very, very important. Often how we treat others does relate to how we treat ourselves. So a lot of work to be done on developing that quality of the relationship with ourselves. Even though in Buddhist psychology, there is the appreciation that there is no permanent, static, stable, enduring self. The self is a psychological phenomena, a mental construct, which is good because that means the self can be modified, it can change. Just because there's some fundamental conditioning from childhood doesn't mean that that's how you have to be the rest of your life. One can cultivate and modify and grow a healthy sense of self. This evening, I thought to begin to look into another type of relationship. And just I was reflecting upon this today, and the more I thought about it, the more thoughts came, and the topic got bigger and bigger. And I thought, my goodness, this is something that we could reflect upon over a number of sessions. Certainly even over a meditation day retreat, but certainly over a number of sessions, because there's various levels to this particular relationship. And it's also one that very much interests me. It's been something which I've been fascinated by, looking into, learning about for most of my life. And that is the transpersonal relationship. Transpersonal, which is a word that maybe we don't even use much. Transpersonal, beyond the personal. So even as a question, what is the transpersonal relationship, and do I have a transpersonal relationship with something or with others? What is the transpersonal, beyond the personal? In many ways, psychology only looks into this a little bit. So the whole study of psychology really only looks into the transpersonal, as in transpersonal psychology, to a small degree. A lot of it's about the personal psychology of self, sorting out yourself, dealing with self, all the amazing things that can go wrong with the self. So psychologists have a textbook called the DSM. I think it's up to about 5, 6, which is a diagnostic manual of all the things that can go wrong with your sense of self. And it's about this thick. And the Buddha said, don't worry, it's not real. Self isn't real. It's just a mental construct. Don't personalize it. But in a way, the Buddha's teachings is a transpersonal psychology. It's about moving the mind, or even realizing the mind beyond being caught up in the ego, in the self. So in a way, it's like the study of, the learning of, the ways in which the mind gets caught into the underlying condition and constructs and creations, mental creations that make up this sense of self-identity. The wrappings and trappings, the trials and tribulations, the taints and the torments that come from the self. So in that sense, suffering for the most part relates to the self. The body experiences pain, but self is that which suffers. All the reacting, the resisting, the clinging, the condemning that goes on. It's all to do with self. So really having a sense of the transpersonal can be very, very important to, in a way, free the mind, move the mind beyond being just identified with the egoic, constructed, conditioned concept of self. And again, that's what the Buddha's teachings is about. And again, also what other spiritual traditions talk about as well. Realizing that which is the transpersonal, beyond the egoic self. But for this evening, I thought to look into an aspect of this. Another word for transpersonal is spiritual. Spiritual, so even to ask oneself, so what sort of spiritual relationships do I have, both externally and then also internally? But particularly internally, what is the spiritual, as in non-self, domain of my being? What are spiritual qualities? And very much part of the Buddha's teachings is that spiritual qualities, there's a list of 10, which are on the chart here, which you've seen many, many times before. The paramita, various ways of defining or translating the word paramita. Paramita, similar to the word paramount, greatly, but they're great qualities that extend, virtues, spiritual virtues. And in many ways, they relate to non-self. It's when the mind isn't caught into the self that then these spiritual virtues become apparent and become manifest and become more enabled to be engaged and connected with others. So the 10 spiritual virtues: dana, sila, nekamma, panya, virya, kanti, satya, adhitthana, metta, upekkha. So I know them in Pali better than in English. So dana is generosity, being able to give, liberality, generosity. Sila is morality, sort of a wholesome, ethical living. Dana, sila, nekamma. Nekamma is renunciation, relinquishment, being able to give up, let go. Panya, which is wisdom, sort of wise, correct understanding. Dana, sila, nekamma, panya. Virya is energy, being energized, motivated. Dana, sila, nekamma, panya, virya. Kanti is patience, forbearance. Satya is truthfulness, honesty. Adhitthana is resolve, commitment. Metta, kindness, care, friendliness. And upekkha is equanimity, a calm composure. So the less the mind is relating and caught into the sense of self, the more the mind heart, let's say, the chitta. Chitta can be even what's called the bodhicitta, the enlightened heart, the enlightened mind heart. Bodhicitta can relate from these qualities, these spiritual qualities. And whilst these are significant and important in Theravada Buddhism, the older form of Buddhism, they're also spoken about particularly in Mahayana Buddhism, which is the Maha meaning great, like Maharaja, great king, the Mahayana Buddhism, the greater vehicle of Buddhism. It's larger, in that there's a whole practice of developing these virtues, these spiritual qualities to perfection, because that what enables the mind to then be a Buddha. So Bodhi, if someone determines to be a Bodhisattva, I'm going to be an enlightenment being, determining to develop these qualities to the full, complete degree, which then manifests as a Buddha. Certainly, they're not necessarily to be developed to the ultimate degree for enlightenment, but for those people that aspire to be a Buddha, and there's only one Buddha every so many thousand years, which means that the mind has to hang around in samsara a long time, especially because it's probably a long waiting list of people that want to be a Buddha. The Buddha didn't talk about um, advocating the idea of becoming another Buddha. It's about just realize reality, realize truth, realize ultimate freedom, free the mind from ignorance. But it's become an aspiration in Mahayana Buddhism to practice these and perfect these to be a Buddha. Fine. But certainly for our purposes, it's important to be aware of them as spiritual qualities that we all have to some degree. We may even find that we have some more than others, that they might be part of our sort of character, personality, where we might be a very patient person, or a very energized, motivated person, or a very, very generous person. So they become personality traits. But it's good to develop all of them because they combine into a very, very healthy way of relating and interfacing experience, hence the transpersonal. Relating from these experiences, we're relating in a transpersonal way to experience. And they combine to become helpful elements for dealing with various issues and challenges. Over the years, I've given a course on these 10 qualities, these spiritual virtues. And one of the ways I talk about them is as elements or ingredients that may be used to make up a recipe for a particular outcome. It might be, okay, next Monday, there's a big event happening and it's going to be very, very challenging. What qualities do I need to bring forth and engage to help me in that situation? Might be a lot of energy, big dose of energy, a big dose or degree of patience, also commitment to stay with it, and equanimity to not get distressed and overwhelmed by the situation. It's like, okay, these are 3 or 4 elements that I need to sort of engage for that situation. And knowing what they are and even writing them down, so, yes, this is a recipe for dealing with what's going to happen on Monday next week. Or further down the track, so, okay, over the next number of weeks or over this year, I'm going to develop particular qualities because it's going to be one of those sorts of years where I have to, forbear, be patient, wait, let go of stuff. And so the practice becomes developing these important, significant qualities, spiritual qualities. Much in the same way that the Buddha spoke about the importance of the Brahma Vihara. Brahma meaning divine or spiritual, Vihara, abide or abode. So abiding in and abiding from the spiritual virtues of the four Brahma Vihara, which are metta, karuna, mudita, upekkha. So metta was on the list there. So kindness and friendliness and care, karuna, compassion, engaging from compassion. mudita, engaging from joy, particularly counteracting jealousy and envy, even resentment. Joy with and for others. And then upekkha, equanimity. So spiritual virtues, more emotional, more heart virtues. Some of the paramita are more mental, some of them even physical. But to see that our practice very much is developing these transpersonal spiritual qualities within ourselves as a way of relating, interfacing, connecting, sharing, caring with others in the world. This becomes our spiritual practice. So something to very much ask oneself, do I have a sense of the transpersonal? Do I have a sense of the inner spiritual qualities? And of these 10, obviously there's other qualities as well, but this particular list of 10, is there one or two or three that stand out as being significant to me in terms of even describing me? People would describe me as these transpersonal spiritual qualities. Are there ones that I need to develop because issues happen when I fall short of these qualities? Maybe patience or kindness, whatever it might be, and that becomes a practice. So for yourselves, any questions or comments around these the transpersonal relationship, the spiritual relationship? Brendan?
Yeah, I guess there's probably different ways to develop those qualities, but what would you say are some of the best ways? Like, is it just about being mindful in your interactions with others, or spending time reflecting? Insight meditation, like those are sorts of things to develop those qualities.
Good question. Certainly mindfulness is really, really important, because if we're not mindful, we forget about these qualities, forget to bring them forth, engage them. The more they're used, the stronger they get. So we need to be mindful enough to remember to use them. And in many ways, our basic meditation, the meditation of collectedness, concentration, samadhi, strengthens the clarity and the mindfulness to then be aware of a situation and to then be able to bring those qualities forth. But also having right view, a sense of like, okay, life is this ongoing opportunity to develop these qualities. It's not just about getting things done and getting what you want and getting ahead in life. It's maybe life is this ongoing, unfolding opportunity to develop and perfect these qualities, this spiritual domain of my being. And having that attitude or that view, then one's able to see lots of opportunities. Transferring, or to say transforming issues into opportunities, transforming a woeful situation into a workable situation, into a wonderful situation. It's like, wow, through this challenge, I've been able to grow and bring forth and develop amazing, wonderful qualities. It's like Master Hua Chinese Chan meditation master that I visited when I was a monk. I was living in England, but a group of us went from Amravati Monastery to his monastery, City of 10,000 Buddhas, just north of San Francisco City. And he didn't speak any English, had lots of monastics, both monks and nuns, both Chinese and Americans, and the American monks and nuns, they had to learn Chinese. But Master Hua had various little sayings, and one of them that I remember was, everything's a test to see what you will do. Mistaking what's before your eyes, you have to start anew. So everything's an opportunity or a test to see what you're going to do. Mistaking what's before your eyes, so not seeing this as an opportunity, you have to go through the whole thing again, and again. until you get it right. You say, this is a chance for me to be more patient, or to let go, or not getting caught up, and transcending Groundhog Day. So seeing life in that way just becomes a whole different take on what one's experiencing, from blight to blessing.
I was talking to somebody today about getting caught up in negative emotions like feelings like anger and resentment, those sorts of things, and just trying to explain that when you can see that feeling's happening, then you don't need to identify and become that feeling. So stepping back, with mindfulness of like, okay, anger has arisen, but I'm not the anger. And the fact that I can see the anger means I'm not the anger.
So that becomes a transpersonal experience. Not identifying or personalizing the anger, or the pain, or the issue, or the whatever.
Yeah. So I guess the key is like being mindful of every moment, every test. And seeing the reality of it. Not getting caught up in following feelings and emotions.
Exactly. Loretta?
I was just, in response to that, Brendan, I'm wondering if we did too much of that, well, then it almost becomes a spiritual bypassing. Because, if the anger arises, or the jealousy, or so forth, and we kind of want to put it over there and go, okay, I'm not the anger and so forth, then we can almost miss the opportunity of taking care of it, almost taking care of the anger or the anxiety, turning towards it.
I see it as an opportunity to try to understand, what is it, why has it arisen, and then do I need to like get all wrapped up in it, or can I like just be aware of it so that I can understand it better?
And this is where right view comes in. And right view is not just clear view, but it's also the right distance. If the anger is so close, or whatever it might fear is so close, you don't even see it, you are it. But if it's put too far away, it's like, what anger? It's just sort of like it's denial.
And that's not what I was thinking of. It was more
more correct view.
Just stepping back
Right
from
relationship.
it, I can see it, not pushing it away to ignore it and pretend it's not there, but stepping back so I know that it's separate from me and I can actually study it.
And especially by having that right distance, it's a bit like viewing a painting. If you're too close up to it, you don't even see the painting, you just see a bit of colored paint. But if you step back, if you go too far away, you don't even see it, you're outside the building. But if it right relationship, right distance, you can see, okay, I can see what it is, I can be aware of it, see what it's bringing up for me, and work with it. So the same with all these various phenomena. Even having a right view towards these qualities so that one doesn't buy into them and become them. I'm so wonderful, I'm so generous, I'm so kind, aren't I great? So it's the right relationship and right distance to them so that one can use them. And certainly the traits that generally cause distress and unease, there's also great learning in those as well. So the right relationship is really, really important. Great insight.
So what you're saying, John, is that obviously there's no right or wrong, isn't there? It's the
well, there is in a sense. But it's relative.
I guess I look at it as the Buddha's path is the middle way, and so not being too close, not being too far away, but being the right distance from it to be able to reflect on it and understand it
Depends on how good your sight is.
Yeah.
So someone that doesn't see too well, they might have to get really close. Yeah, wow, there is anger there. You've been denying it, or too far. If someone's got good eyesight, they can sort of, well, I can see it.
That's where wisdom comes in, I guess. It's like
Mm.
knowing,
The right distance.
the right distance.
Yeah. Mm.
Yeah,
Ivan?
this comes up every so often, these kind of conversations, because we have this idea that suppressing emotions is a negative thing.
Mm.
And then, but the Buddha has those 5 ways to handle distracting thoughts. And one of those ways are, as he's describing, suppressing emotions or suppressing distracting thoughts when they arise. So I guess I've thought about it. I guess the difference is maybe the intention behind and the emotion behind why you're doing the action rather than the action itself. Because the same action can bring about different results depending on what's driving the action.
That's right. And also the bigger picture outcome. So if someone is overwhelmed with anger, it may be really and negative thoughts. It may be better for them to suppress those thoughts, because if they don't, they may just get too overwhelmed and hurt somebody. So it even talks about clenching the teeth and the tongue pressed against the roof of the mouth, and so that you don't get caught up in those thoughts or those feelings, which is pretty severe. As opposed, well, sit down, just feel into it, open up to it, notice it, but maybe for that person, that's with so much anger or resentment or whatever it might be, or fear, they can't sort of do that. So just control it for the moment to get through it. Otherwise, you're just going to explode, or something's going to happen that's not good. Maybe reflect upon it later.
I guess that's one of the key things, is being able to be aware of it enough to know that it will pass, and therefore I don't need to, I can feel it, but I don't need to get carried away with it. Just wait it out almost.
So certainly, there's a lot to reflect upon in the context of the transpersonal, the spiritual, both within ourselves, and then also the relationship to to the spiritual outside of oneself, so to speak, which is also something quite significant. Even what is spoken about as the numinous, the noumenal experience, a spiritual experience that is even ineffable, unsort of describable. So these are things that we can maybe reflect upon in later sessions, but I think very much that having an awareness of the spiritual within and without can be very, very important for our practice. So we'll finish up for this evening. Thanks for coming out tonight, and have a good week.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.